Buckets. That's the name of my boat. Buckets.
Buckets. What we get.
Not the only transfer we got from Florida. Keith Stone, too. Remember that.
Everybody who watches his show on a regular basis knows my love of the stretch four.
You know, we all make mistakes. He might have made one going to Tallahassee.
See if y'all don't know. Dribble to the left, cross over to the right. Hurricane to the game, many buckets for the night. Matt with the pick and roll, Melissa with the give and go. This Shelly, you hoodie girl dunking in the hole. Check the scoreboard, this what we fall for. Beat the gameplay, they want an encore. Yeah, overtime for another round. It's buckets after buckets, baby. You out of time. It's buckets. What it is, homie? It's buckets. Woo! We get buckets. Yeah, baby. Buckets.
I have no shame.
I know. That's the problem.
You guys are awesome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Buckets. I'm Vish, joined by the hoodie girl herself, Melissa. How's it going, Melissa?
It's weird when other people introduce the show.
California Matt will not be with us tonight, but
at least we remember to decide who was introducing beforehand, because it's a given that Matt always introduces the show. But, you know, Matt is out with the fam tonight, and this was kind of an impromptu Buckets, so... Welcome, Terrence and Bill in the chat. A few of the usuals.
Yep, we've got Terrence reporting in from Montgomery, Alabama. Always good to beat the Gators, absolutely. And Bill, hi, Bill.
Bill in North Carolina, I'm assuming.
I mean, you're not going to wave hi to Bill. I did. Bill, I waved hi to you. Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe we'll see Bill in Charlotte in a few weeks. Hopefully.
Yeah, a couple of weeks from the ACC championship game where we will be in Charlotte. So
hopefully.
Don't give me this hopefully. It's happening.
You never know, man.
Oh, you know. Sometimes you know.
All right.
But this is not that. That is Six Rings tomorrow night at 8:30 on this very same network. But tonight, we are talking. No maybes, man. No maybes.
I think maybe we'll see Bill. Maybe he's going to go.
He's got to come now. It's a shorter drive for him. Like an hour and a half. 2 hours, whatever it is. Anyway, that's for tomorrow night. We'll cover that on. We've got buckets.
We've got two dubs to talk about this weekend. Today, the men's team beat Coppin State by 30, and yesterday, the women's team took down the Florida Gators in Gainesville. So, good. It's a good season, good year for Miami versus Florida. You know, the football team handed them a loss, and then now the women's team handed them a loss. So
yeah, we'll see how baseball season goes. But for now, yes. Now things are looking good. Yeah.
I think we'll discuss a little women's basketball first, and then do some men's basketball. Ladies first, shall we say?
Well, they played a real opponent and stomped them, so that's definitely I don't think we'd be doing this show if it was just the men's Coppin State game. I don't know that we'd be doing this show right now. So
we didn't want to hold off talking about the women's game.
We do have our regular full buckets episode on Wednesday. So definitely
Wednesday. We'll talk more buckets and then maybe do a little breakdown of the upcoming tournament for the men. But anyway. Yep. Women's game first. Yesterday afternoon, they beat Florida 83-73. Haley Cavender led the way with 31 points, not 29 like we originally posted because they had an error on the scoreboard. So it was.
They mixed the twins up. How could they
mixed up the twins? So she had 31 points, shot 13 of 23 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, and had 6 rebounds. And then other double-figure scorers, Jasmine with 14 on a very efficient 5 of 6 shooting, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, and Hannah Cavender with 12 on 5 of 8 and 2 of 4 with 6 boards. So it was the Canes led by as much as 19. We had a little lull in the third quarter where the Gators actually got back to within 3, but they never actually led, and we managed to pull it off and win by 10 by the end of the game. So yes, twin magic. It was a lot of points from the Cavenders were assists from the other. But Vish, what did you notice? What stood out to you?
Yeah, just it was the first real opponent, so it was a little bit higher level of play, and yeah, our starters rose to the occasion. They all contributed heavily. Nat got into foul trouble, which was unfortunate. But even though
BS intentional foul call.
Yeah, I mean, it was once they go to the monitor, you know what's coming out of there. Like, they don't go to the monitor without intending to call it. So at that point, you kind of knew it was happening. It was definitely borderline, to put it mildly. But all that kind of, her being in foul trouble, she was able to play through that a bit. And then, but all of our you mentioned the Cavenders are the headlines. Jasmine had a really good game too.
Very efficient game from Jasmine.
Yeah. And all three of them and Darian Rogers hit huge shots in the the back half of the fourth quarter. But really, Darian was pretty much the only one that provides scoring off the bench. Albies had a couple of free throws.
Free throws midway through the fourth.
Right, but it was. I guess my larger point is, like, the starters did the heavy lifting.
Yeah, we didn't see much of the freshmen in this game. They each only played 4 minutes. It was a step up in competition, and so this is new for them. So it's not totally surprising. They handled themselves well on defense, and they took another charge. Leah had what should have been a steal, but they called it a tie up. But let me see. Where is
wait, we have to pause. We have to hold on. There's very important news in the chat, because what we have
Terrence is eating a spicy chicken sandwich from Popeyes.
I mean, my man here is coming through. I'm telling you, the more people we get from the South, the more Popeyes just creeping on up. Terrence is in Montgomery. He's stepping up with the Popeyes.
What can I say?
Wow, you've left Melissa speechless, Terrence. That is a
listen. It's Sunday. I can't have Chick-fil-A today. Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays.
So nice.
I'll be having it tomorrow when I'm at work, because it's Monday, and one of the physicians I work with every other Monday enjoys getting Chick-fil-A with me. So there is that. But yeah, we didn't see a lot of the freshmen. Our starters were in for a lot of the game. I think as the season goes on and they get a little bit more experience, we may see them more. But our starting 5 is so efficient. What's up, Canes Cats Heat? So they 4 of our starting 5 played over 30 minutes, and like Vish said, Nat got in a little bit of foul trouble, so she only played 25. But the 5 of them on the court, it's like a well-oiled machine.
Women's right now, men's coming up in a bit.
Yep.
For CCH. Oh, I forgot. This is an audio show too. CCH. So we're talking men's or women's? The answer is both, but right now women's. I don't know necessarily that, obviously expect to get more than 4 minutes out of Anae and Leah, but look, man, the starters they're gonna play a lot, barring foul trouble. So I don't. I expect to see,
But the freshmen are a big part of our depth. So you definitely want to get them minutes when you can, in case, God forbid, somebody goes down with injury.
No, I know, but I think, if someone's in foul trouble, there's an injury, you have to just deal with it. But if you're in a competitive game against a big opponent, and we don't know how good UF is at this point, but they're certainly obviously an SEC team, so it's a major conference win on the road, which is hard to do regardless. But
probably be a quad win on the resume.
I mean,
we'll see.
Let's not start talking about the tournament committee and how they judge things at this point. But that's too soon. I guess for me, it's all right. So you have Jasmine, you have the Cavenders, as the 3 guard positions. I want them to get 35 minutes a game. So there's not that backup minutes. As Lil Maya is working her way back, she'll probably get some minutes. We definitely want Darion to get a good chunk of minutes off the bench, and she's kind of playing the 3/4. So there's not that many minutes for the freshman to play anyway. So while I agree with you, you'll hopefully see the increase because it provides depth. At the end of the day, if you're like playing Notre Dame, I want the Cavaliers out there against Hannah Hidalgo for the majority of the game, right? I mean, that's just the reality of it. So, it's tough. It's no knock on the freshmen. The more, we have now the schedule eases again a little bit. We got FIU on Tuesday, a chance to get them more game action, to get them more ready. But cards are on the table. It's time. It's give me Jazz, give me the Cavaliers. Those are the ones that we ride with down in the critical stretches of games. And as this game proves, sometimes that critical stretch is not the last 5 minutes. They got back into the game. We tried to buy a few minutes, and that, but that's fine. Like, we had the lead, so we played with it. That's part of the that's why you build a 19-point lead, right? So you can rotate people in. But a little bit closer game, maybe you don't even bother doing that. So I have a lot of confidence in the freshmen going forward, long term. But this is about this season.
Yeah,
and it's hard for me to imagine, other than getting someone a rest or foul trouble, where I'm like, oh yeah, they should be on the court instead of the starters, because the starters are
I mean, I don't think you're gonna see them playing in game situations as far as oh, we need a bucket or we need this defensive stand, but they are going to be a critical part in giving some of our guards a rest, even if it's for a few minutes.
Right, and I think that's why when we look at they played 4 or 5 minutes or whatever. I don't know that the role increased some, but I don't know how much is, I guess, what I'm saying. And no reflection on them.
No.
Reflection on the caliber of the starters. Kid play fade.
UF's first.
Oh, the button fly. The button fly.
Our first win against UF since 1990.
Yeah.
And then
the kid play fade. That was in the high top.
Bill wants to know if Carson Beck's going to make a game at the Watt.
We'll have to ask Hannah.
So. I don't know. Did we play at Georgia Tech? Maybe he'll show up to that.
Maybe. Do we? I don't know. We'll have to pull the schedule up. Maybe he'll make the trip out to California.
Do we play at SMU? Maybe Fergie will show up.
I don't think we play at SMU because I think we'd probably end up going, right? We have enough Dallas.
No, I thought we were going to Cal.
No, we are, but I think we have enough Dallas ties we could pop in. No, SMU's at home. Georgia Tech is at home. Unless we play them twice. Yeah, no road games at either of those places.
Also, I would like to point out the crappiness of the SEC network.
You didn't appreciate them going to commercial in the middle of the game?
They literally went to commercial in the middle of the game. I don't know if it was for you too, but my audio kept cutting out.
My audio was okay.
The audio kept cutting out. They went to commercial mid game, and if you did a drinky game off of how many times they mentioned that Kansas Salgas played for Miami, you probably would have been dead from alcohol poisoning. Anytime she touched the ball or did anything, oh, the former Miami player. I'm like, how many times do we need to go over this?
Right. I mean, I get it. It was a storyline.
And what sucks the most is because it was broadcasted on SEC Network, the ACC YouTube page isn't going to replay the game. And that's the easiest way to rewatch it. So I had to rewatch it off of ESPN.
Oh, yeah, today. That's annoying. I didn't even think about that.
Because it's so much harder to fast forward and rewind on the ESPN app than it is on the ACC Network YouTube page.
Yeah. It's one of those things where every platform builds their own thing when they probably should have just, licensed it out through YouTube. Kansas Salgas, U.S. starting point guard. Actually was here for 4 years. So didn't play a lot.
Well, she had a COVID year, and then she was injured for 2 of them.
Yeah. She didn't play a lot here. She's transferred to UF before last season, so this is their second year there. What else stood out to you from that game?
Me and Matt were talking about this, and we were texting about it earlier too. Some of the offensive sets. I mean, Matt is like the guru when it comes to that stuff. But like, I was rewatching the game today, just because I had missed part of the first quarter, and also like I'm usually the one live tweeting, so I miss stuff like when I'm typing stuff or whatever. But like that little curl play that they run, where so we had like our starting five, and then Haley kind of runs like under the basket. And Nat starts to clear out from down low, and you still have Cam down low. Jazz clears out the other side, and you've got Hannah with the ball at the top of the key. And Haley kind of just runs like this, kind of brushes up against Nat, and it's kind of like an unintentional screen, and she cuts as Hannah hits her, and then Cam seals off her man, and it's like an easy bucket. And we've run that multiple times with both Cavenders, with easy layups. Like, it's such a well-designed play. Oh. Sorry about my text. I'm laughing. My friend Evan's texting me because he decided to play J.K. Dobbins instead of CeeDee Lamb on his fantasy team, and he's regretting it now.
Well, CeeDee has not taken the field with Cooper Rush throwing it to him yet, so it might not matter.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, no, and then, okay, I guess, yeah. I know a lot of people are just starting to follow the women's team more closely, so it's good.
Yeah.
I would say the other thing that kind of stood to me, this is the first time we played a team that had an actual center, and I thought, other than them allowing Cam to get the crap fouled out of her,
yeah,
I thought she held up well, and it was finally a game that was more fitting for her style of play, because the first couple of games it was a lot of multiple smaller players running at her. She's a post player, and you can see that her box play on the box is kind of her strength, and you can really see that clearly. There's a couple of really nice post plays, good seals. Like, she knows how to play down the low block, and that. And we've had bigs the last few years, but it's been probably since Amisi Hoff that we had somebody who'd really just be comfortable tossing the ball into.
Hey, look who's in the chat.
He decided to show up on his day off.
I have to say though, she's got some great post moves, but on the box score doesn't do her justice, because it says she has 4 turnovers, and at least 3 of those she was getting mauled, and it should have been called. Florida should have been called for a foul on them, and they didn't call it. There was one play where she was going for a rebound, and this Florida player just basically fell on top of her, and Florida went out in the fast break and got a layup, and like Cam's still like on the ground, and I'm just like, where's the call? Like, she's getting absolutely mauled. But yeah, Cam looked really, really good.
Yeah, it's going to add another, because our guard player is definitely the strength of the team. It's going to add another dimension to it.
I still think we need to work on our entries into the post.
Yeah, we kind of got, again, I think it's so hard to judge, because the game, look, they obviously made a run, I think cut it as close to as 3 points, but when you're up that big, you just naturally let up a little bit, start getting a little careless. Like, we threw some Hollywood passes to try and get her the ball, where if she was Elijah Arroyo, she might have made the catch, but like, that's not fair to ask a center in a basketball setting to do.
But that wasn't even this game. I've noticed it in pretty much all the games.
Well, the other games, I think the other games, the post game just wasn't there, because they were crowding underneath and not allowing it. Like, that's what I was saying. This is the first time the other team actually had a center, and they kind of played her a little more straight up. But yeah, most of those turnovers she had were just she got fouled. There was also some of them were technically on her, even though the pass was terrible, and she kind of like there was one where she traveled after having to basically try and save the ball from under the basket, because the pass like led her too far into the basket, and so like technically that's her turnover. But yeah, we definitely, there's some stuff to clean up, but for the first attempt playing a real opponent, we were sharp. The offense was really flowing well, absent the few things we've called out here, and I thought our man-to-man defense was really good also.
Yeah, I mean, Haley took 23 shots, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I want her shooting. She's a great shooter, but she was 13 of 23. So the Cavenders accounted for half of our points.
Yeah, and again, Darion had 8 off the bench. Abiz had 2, and that's it. Like everything else was out of 83 points. So that's really leaving on the starters. The other thing to look for, going forward is UF had a small backcourt. We have a small backcourt, so it was a good, like, our players are more skilled, and it showed pretty quickly. I mean, you could tell at 2 minutes in the game. The skill level difference, the execution difference is pretty glaring. It'll be interesting to see how Trisha handles the rotations if someone has like a bigger backcourt, because even bringing in Ane or Leah, they're also so we don't really have. I mean, you can obviously slide Jasmine over to the 2, maybe play Darion and Lamaya a little bit more at the 3 if we need to go bigger. But certainly our best lineup is the starting lineup is the best one, and it'll be interesting to see how we fare. Shout out to Noah. We know that we know the admin.
Did you see the 40-piece video?
Yes, I did. Yeah, Noah's awesome. We're big fans of Noah's work there. So
no, I'm still waiting for that photo.
Leave the man alone, man. He's working. He was in Gainesville.
Noah is a busy guy.
Yeah.
The man behind the women's basketball social media accounts.
Yeah.
Busy dude.
Yep.
What else?
I think we jumped out early. Obviously, had the lead. Came out in the second half and they pushed it out even further. And then we want to talk about the wheels kind of coming off the bus there a little bit, and because they did. I think
Florida hit back-to-back threes, and it just kind of like
they hit back-to-back threes. We had some turnovers and gave them some layups, and it was, I believe, a 14-0 run, and then they eventually got down to 3. And then we separated again. We hit some big threes down the stretch. But what was your take on the whole? I guess the way the second half played out.
I mean, minus that like 5-minute stretch where we just like forgot to play basketball and Florida made that run. We were obviously the better team. Like our starting 5 looked great. I think in the fourth quarter, we kept them at an arm's length the whole time. I feel like when we needed a bucket, we got a bucket. But I didn't like that 5-minute run. I felt like we kind of got outside of ourselves and we were just like jacking threes, trying to keep up with their like quick threes that they were making and giving up long rebounds. And it was leading to transition for them. So we weren't playing in our game. Cause our game is forcing turnovers and getting defensive rebounds and pushing the ball. And Florida kind of went on that run and was making everything, and it took us out of our own game. So minus those 5 minutes, I thought, like especially our starters, I thought we played really well. Our guard play was great. I mean, the Cavender backcourt. I mean,
yeah. I mean, in that run, UF hits. Forgot to play basketball. A little harsh, but I forgot how to play basketball. I think they hit some shots. We certainly, again, when you build a lead, you do have the luxury of. I think a couple of things there. One is rotating a little bit more. We got, it wasn't. I don't think it was an accident that we had some freshmen on the court when that run happens. But again, you build that lead so you can play with that. Like that's good. It's a good thing. They're able to get them those minutes on the road against in hostile environments. Because to your point, Melissa, like ideally, yes, Cavenders, Jasmine eat up most of our wing minutes, but you never know when 2 quick fouls and all of a sudden, you got to get an extended stretch from a freshman. You don't want that to be the first time they're in that. So we had the house money. We were playing with a little bit with the size lead. And that also, allowed her to try and let the team play through it a little bit more. Like if we were up, 10 points when that run started, it's probably a quick timeout. Instead, you're up 19, you can let it ride a little bit longer. So, again, when you build a lead like that, you earn the right to kind of play around with it a little bit. And we did that a little and then reasserted dominance and then kind of put the game away. We Cadillac'd it. I don't even know what that. I mean, I can read it, but I don't know what that means. What does Cadillac'ing it mean, Terrence?
And the best news of all is from the free throw line. We were 12 of 14, which is 85.7%, which means everyone gets ice cream.
Yeah, as much as our affinity for junk food. If you've seen our Mount Rushmores here, I think just that's a night and day difference. I don't know that won us the game here, but it certainly led us to easily just put it away. Once they start fouling, you're kind of like, well, the game's over now.
It's so because it's still early in the season. We're only 3 games in, but to hear the announcers talking about like, oh, you don't want to foul Miami and let them go to the free throw line. They're great free throw shooters. Blah blah blah. Like it's so weird because last year we were so bad at the like we would go to the line and me and Vish would be texting if they're like, oh shit, we're in the bonus. Like
yeah. Okay, so that adds up.
Okay.
That's pretty much what we kind of did a little bit there. Yeah, no, the women, we'll talk about the men a bit. The women are definitely shooting at a much higher percentage. And so that's why once it got into the foul game, we're kind of like, well, this game's over now because we actually make free throws this year. Where last year,
our post players can hit free throws.
Well, the whole team is shooting at a high level, and that's what you need to close games out, right? Because sometimes the post player is the player that's easier to get the ball into. They're taller, so you can kind of throw it up to them and have them catch it when you're trying to inbound late game situations.
Yeah, I mean, last game, Nat Marshall went 13 of 14. Cameron Williams was 1 of 2 today. Abis was 2 of 2. Not a ton of. I mean, we only had 14 attempts, so, and one of those misses was from Haley, which again is not a usual thing. So, but it is nice to have that.
It's why we so easily close the game out.
Well, it's not only
some free throws or whatever,
but and it's not only that too, but because we play with that up tempo pace and we want to transition and get into the fast break and all of that stuff, we're gonna get fouled. I mean, I feel like we've pretty much gotten into the bonus like every single quarter that we play.
Yeah, again, the guard plays is like we're aggressive with drive game as well. It's a lot of we put pressure on the defense. Again, we'll see when we play better opponents. The ACC has several of the best programs in the country. How they're going to take away some of the stuff we do, and then we'll see how the girls respond to that. But it was kind of, I mean, I expected us to beat UF because again, we read the scouting reports. We're supposed to be a better team than them. So like we neither of us had watched them play, but we kind of were so obviously better than them, and it was on the road, and it didn't really matter. To me, that was good encouraging signs. Encouraging signs for.
We're very. Our starting lineup is very well rounded. I mean, Nat Marshall's what, like 6'4", and
she's getting minutes at center as well. Again, the foul trouble kind of.
She can play inside and out, which is such a fun duo to watch with Cam, who's like your legit 5.
Yeah, no, she's on the block center.
Yeah, so it's super interesting. And then you got Jasmine, who I feel like can play multiple positions. You can stick her at the 4 if you need to.
Jasmine is the best player on the team and one of the top players in the ACC and should be.
Well, I mean, she doesn't have like the flashiest of stat lines so far this season, but I mean, 14 points, 5 of 6 from the field, 4-4. Made a really big bucket down the stretch that extended the lead, I think, from 3 to 5 or from 5.
Well, she's not forcing anything, but
no.
Yeah,
I think the best word is efficient.
Yeah, but she also, the ball was going to her at the end of the game for a reason. It was multiple possessions in a row to close it out where the ball went through her. We didn't always score, but the ball was going through her because she's the best player on the court. And that. Against most teams we play, she's going to be the best player on the court. So, her game is like you said. I think last year was the first year she was kind of the main. Because remember, we had Destiny 2 years ago. It was kind of
and that was her sophomore season 2 years ago.
Right. And so I think she developed her game a little bit more last year, and then we've seen more strides this year, especially in the realm of efficiency. So, she's taken another step, and like I said, she's one of the best players in the country. So I think we're going to continue to, when you get in these clutch games, these tight games, you need to get the ball to run it through someone. not only does she have the talent, this is someone that's won a Sweet 16 game for us. Like, this is someone with a lot of experience. So it's a good weapon to have in there in your tool belt there. And this team has a pretty high ceiling, I would say. The ACC is
any hot takes for the season now that we've seen them play a few games.
I mean, what are you looking for? Did we already do? We did one like last week, or is that for the men?
We did a men's hot take.
All right. Well, what is your hot take then?
Man, the ACC is so loaded. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think Haley makes an all ACC team.
Didn't she 2 years ago? I feel like she was third team or something. She might have. I'll have to look. But that's not. I mean, that can count, I guess. I don't know. It's a deep league, so it's no.
I don't know. I feel like Nat Marshall could be special too.
I do think a little bit. It's gonna hurt our individual award stuff just because we have so much balance.
Yeah.
That if Haley obviously put up a monster game against UF, but then we got contributions from a lot of players the game before that. Nat basically won it for us.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just there's so much talent and so much depth. It will be a little bit of a passing the baton around. And this game, it's Hannah's gonna lift us. The next game it might be Jasmine, then it'll be Haley, and then it'll be Nat, and then there's 100% gonna be games where we have a mismatch at the center position. We run the game through Cam, and she dominates the opposing center, and that's how we win. So it's a good problem to have, but I think it might mute a little bit of the individual awards where it's like Notre Dame, everyone knows Hannah Hidalgo, right?
Give me Coach Cullup for ACC Coach of the Year.
All right, that is a hot take.
That is my hot take. Is Coach Cullup wins ACC Coach of the Year? There we go.
Well, that's definitely a hot take. So I guess you have us winning the ACC then? Is that an extension of your hot take?
You don't necessarily have to win the ACC. I just think we could be better than what the pundits think we're going to be.
Okay.
Because a balanced team, we are very balanced, and we're a very mature team. I mean, this is pretty much all seniors getting the bulk of the minutes.
Yeah, most of the minutes, yeah.
So we'll see. What's your hot take?
See. I mean, I don't know if I can match that. All right, I'll I know you said Haley making an all ACC team.
No. Well, I mean, I guess I had like 3 hot takes, but.
Well, I mean, all ACC is borderline hot take. I don't think you eat the deluxe. You usually eat the original. But,
I don't get the deluxe. And it's because I'm basically allergic to tomatoes.
There's like 3 things she eats and everything else she won't eat. So I'll go Jasmine first team.
Wow. With how loaded the ACC is, that's. I mean, I don't doubt that she could do that because again, she's the best player on the court day in and day out. But the ACC is loaded, so we'll see. So your hot take is Jasmine makes first team, and then I have 2 hot takes. Haley makes an all-ACC team, and Coach Cullup wins ACC Coach of the Year.
Jasmine's one of the best players in the country. So
she is.
I'm confident.
And she wears my number, so.
I mean, we're not going to hold that against her, but.
Number 4, let's go.
She definitely will not do the spicy. But anyway, let's stop talking about bad chicken sandwiches.
I do the regular chicken sandwich with fries.
Jasmine's only flaw was that Chick-fil-A selection. That was not really acceptable. But other than that,
hey, maybe we might be able to get Nat on the show. She saw our tweet today. So
anyway, yeah. So I guess looking ahead for the women, so Tuesday host FIU.
Buckets will be there.
Friday at 5 p.m. A little bit of an early start there against Campbell. And then next week is I'll be there. And then next week is the Thanksgiving tournament. open with Charlotte, and then we'll see on Sunday who they play.
I won't be at those because of work, unfortunately, but Vish will hopefully be at a lot of them, or will provide all the coverage.
I think I should be at all of the games I just mentioned.
Make sure you're following Buckets_Canes, because one of us is usually live tweeting the game, so you'll get updates throughout if you're unable to watch. If there's a lot of emoji use, it's usually me.
Yeah, if there's math, it's probably me.
So, although I have been.
Yeah, you've been up in your you've been trying to eliminate Matt and my positions. You're doing the tactical breakdown and taking Matt's stuff, and then you're taking the math for me. What's happening?
I've been using less emojis though, because I've been tweeting from my computer.
Well, you've been like Jasmine, you've been adding to your game. Like, I'm gonna talk about statistics here, and then talk about this play breakdown there. And there's like
Matt has definitely gotten me into more of the offensive play sets, because like I played basketball growing up, but I don't know like the fancy all the stuff. Like I know a good play when I see it, but like Matt's teaching me chin, so learning.
So sort of. We have accounts. We haven't moved over there with the network. We're not. You don't need to follow us yet. I mean, you're more than welcome to. You'll find our accounts there, but we're not really doing anything with them. So they're placeholders for now. We'll see if.
We made accounts just to have the name.
Yeah, in case
Although they don't allow underscores, so the Buckets account is a hyphen instead of an underscore. But other than that, both of our handles are the same. But we're not using it yet. We're not posting from there yet. We just wanted to have the same handles to make life easier.
Yeah, in case, we're part of a larger network, and right now all of our stuff is still on Twitter.
On X, yeah.
So I'm not calling it that. So on Twitter, and then if we migrate it, then if the network migrates over, we will be over there. Or we might do both or something. I don't know. We'll see. Right now we just have placeholders, so there's no content over there. Anyway, let's do a little bit ad here, and then we'll
get into the men.
Talk about the men. That bouncing ball can only mean one thing. It's time to hoop. And with Underdog Fantasy, you can play higher or lower on all your favorite players, like Miami's own Tim Hardaway Jr. I love Underdog's Win Now feature, which lets you cash out whenever you want. So join over 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog. And with their Pick'em game, you could win money by making entries with your favorite players. Download the app today and use code 5REASONS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cast instantly. That's UnderdogFantasy.com and the offer code 5REASONS to get up to $1,000 in bonus cast. That is FIVEREASONS. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 or older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY. All right, so we're back talking about the men. Comfortable win over Coppin State today. Melissa and I are both there in attendance. Coppin State is one of the worst teams in the country, so no surprise that the Canes kind of easily handle them. But this is the last warm-up game before heading to Charleston for a tournament, playing Drake on Thursday at noon. So, Melissa, first question for you is just, I guess, what were your overall thoughts? And okay, so the kind of the preseason part, there's still down the road, there are still a couple of I call them warm-up games or cupcakes or whatever. But how are you feeling going into Drake on Thursday in the tournament? Yes, I know you wrote Matthew Cleveland. That's not really saying much for anyone. So
Matthew Cleveland was my player of the game. So I don't know if you watched the press conference after, but Coach L said that he had been out with a concussion. They had originally just had an upper body injury, so now we know what it was. Canes Cat, he says we're a terrible second half team. I don't think we're a terrible second half team. I just don't think we have to play as hard in the second half.
We haven't
been in a dogfight yet. So
yeah.
I like the starting five now. We finally inserted Matthew Cleveland back into the starting five instead of AJ Staten McCray. Actually, McCray actually had his best offensive game this season. Because he had 11 points on 4 or 5 shootings. So hey, I like the starting five. I'm interested to see what our actual rotations are going to be once we like play a real team. Because like half of the second half we were playing most of the freshmen because the game was already put away. I know it's something that Vish has an issue with. Jalil's not getting a lot of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll see. You know how because again we're playing. You know, it's going to be Drake, then FAU or Oklahoma State, and then it's 3 games regardless whether you win or lose. That just determines the opponents. You know, we've had our warm-up games, and part of it was Matthew certainly being not fully available for the first couple of games, but our rotations are kind of all over the place. I felt today, you know, he did a couple of what Melissa, when she was tweeting, I was calling like line changes, you know, stealing a hockey term, which is not something you would do in a normal game. At least I hope we're not planning on just subbing all the starters out at once just for the hell of it in a real game. And so, you know, against a competitive team. So for me, it's kind of like, did we really prepare our rotations for playing a real game? I don't know that we did. Again, part of that, this is the first game Matthew was fully available. As Matt pointed out on last week's show, you know, he played exactly 20 minutes the first 2 games, which was hard to believe was coincidental. So, but yeah, like, are we really going to have, you know, some of those lineups we had on the court? I know Melissa likes to tweet, "Oh, we got Kid in the kids out there." That's not an actual lineup you want on the court against a real team. And Kid so,
Kid with all the freshmen and Joe Bay.
Right. And so, you know, I'm kind of like, what's the plan here? Like, why you have very few actual game situations where you can work on realistic rotations in a game setting. And to me, it felt like we kind of wasted some of that again, I'm not Coach Hell's a Hall of Fame level coach. He knows what he's doing. He's done this for years. So I'm less, you know, I'm not like, oh my God, what's he doing? Like freaking out. But I mean, there's got to be. I maybe I'll throw this question back to you, Melissa. How do we get to the point where Jalil is actually getting the minutes that are, you know, commensurate with his talent? Because right now he's coming in with Divine, he's coming in with Austin Schwartz and playing the same minutes, the same role.
And you haven't seen him play minutes with some of the other starters.
Right, but I mean, unless we're in disagreement here, which I don't think we are, for this team to reach its ceiling, he is going to have to be a major big player for us.
There's too much talent there for him to not be.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I'm as talented as him if we're just going to sit on the bench. I'm good at sitting. So that's why I guess that's my question. I mean, obviously that was a sarcastic comment, but that was my question. Like, how do we get from where he's currently not getting a lot of minutes to, okay, he's like either starting or the first guy off the bench or whatever?
Hi, Jazz.
Shout out to Jazz.
I mean, right now he's like the 3rd or 4th guy off the bench.
Right. So how do you square that circle?
I mean, I guess Jalil hasn't played consistently enough, like as far as getting enough minutes to get into a rhythm. Though he's been playing with the other freshmen, and he hasn't been playing with the starters. So I don't know. I mean, obviously we don't see practice, but when you have a top 5 recruit, you would think that you see him to be able to get some minutes with the older guys and get him on the floor with the starting lineup and not on the floor with like all the freshmen and garbage time.
Right. And so I just that's my concern. Like, how do we actually, because we did not, I guess my point is, in these warm-up games, we did not work him into the rotation. So now when are we going to, and how are we going to?
It's a good question.
And if the answer is we're not going to, then that's a whole other problem involving the transfer portal, most likely.
Yeah, when you say one and done.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't play, I don't know that he can get drafted. And Bill, I get what you're saying. Look, especially today's the first half in particular, he didn't look great. He played better in the second half, but so I guess here's my thing. And again, I understand the Hall of Fame coach, and I'm certainly not. We probably wouldn't even have a basketball program if Coach Hill never came here, so I'm forever grateful to him. However, we've got this thing, and we talked about this in the offseason, and we all kind of agreed, Matt as well. Oh, he's not going to start because Coach Hill won't start freshmen.
No.
And why?
Last year out of necessity.
But that's not a thing. Why do we have to deal with that? Like, why do we have to accept that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why does that have to be the way?
As of right now, who would you pull from the starting lineup in favor of Jaleel?
I wouldn't start Jaleel, but he would be getting 6-man minutes when we rotate out to when he put, because again, Brandon Johnson's all the backup center. When you rotate that way, I'd have Jaleel in there
instead of McCray.
Well, I'd slide instead of Jobay a little bit. I'd slide Matthew over to the 4 more and put Jaleel in. I want my talented players on the court. He's got to get court time to actually grow, and I don't. And so, but again, like you said, we don't see practice or anything. But I don't know why it's baked into the cake and becomes a reality that, well, if you come play here and you're a freshman, you're not really going to play. Even last year, last year we eventually did play Keyshawn because of injuries. We started him. Do you remember the first message? Like, why is this guy not starting? What are we doing? We had those same conversations because he was starting Bensley instead, which is an insane premise now that Keyshawn's playing well for the Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I mean, he's
starting for the Wizards.
Yeah, and he's playing well, and it's like, why? Yeah. Why do we have to accept this reality that, like, oh well, Coach L is just going to do what Coach L does, and that means the freshman can't play? He did the same thing to Lonnie Walker. Remember, he had his slow start. That's because he wasn't playing. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, okay, I get it. It's gonna happen, but it doesn't mean we can't complain about it. Like, to me, it's and to Bill's point, he hasn't. Well, I don't know about this. I think he had the one punching incident, but but no. To Bill's point, it's not like Jaleel's coming on the court.
Regarding the emotions thing, a few people on Twitter pointed out like that. I mean, I haven't been able to watch the game back on TV. A few people on Twitter pointed out that he looked a bit frustrated that he wasn't getting the ball.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk about Divine in a second, but but I think, Bill's point is well taken. It's not like he's coming in and lighting it up, and then it's like, oh, I can't believe they put him back. Like, he did not play well today, so it's not. And Staten McCray played way better than he did today.
That was again, we're talking game as a kid.
Yeah, but so if you watch this game, you're like, of course, Staten McCray's getting the minutes instead of him. Mm-hmm. But I guess my point is for the team to hit the ceiling of its potential, it's got to be with Jaleel eating a ton of minutes. Maybe not starting, but at the very least, starting quality minutes. And he's nowhere close to that. So I'm just, we have a real. I mean, he's not playing, though. That's the thing.
We don't think he's starting right now. We just think he needs to get more minutes. Most of his minutes right now, because he played 15 today, at least half of those minutes, if not more, were garbage time minutes at the end of the game.
Yeah, he's coming into the game with Divine and Austin Schwartz and playing these weird lineups and not.
Yeah.
And
he's not being incorporated into what we think would be a regular.
Well, we'll see on Thursday, right? We have a real game.
We got to see what the actual.
But based on the way the rotation played, it looks like he wouldn't even be in it.
Yeah,
right? It looks like,
and that's what we're saying.
It looks like Brandon. It's like Joe Bay and Staten McCray are your bench players. Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like.
And you got Joe Bay in there because we were having to move Brandon Johnson over to the 5.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think Joe Bay.
I think he may. I think even with Kyrie, he probably would get some.
Well, I mean, and I think the thing with Kyrie is, I mean, he definitely was not going to start. We don't know how many minutes he was going to play. Like, I don't know that we don't know how big of a role he was going to
Mhm.
have. Jobé has certainly improved to the point where
So far, with the level of competition, he looks improved. But
yeah, we'll see.
Coach L said it in his presser. He was like, "We're stepping up in competition this coming week." So we'll see. He knows it.
Yeah, there might be a much shorter rotation, but it doesn't look like because again, Nigel's a 35-minute a game guy. He's obviously not had to play that. So start doing that. Jalen Blackman's a major minutes guy previously.
Cleveland's gonna get a ton of
Cleveland is also, so then
especially with the fact that he plays the 3 and the 4. Bill says we have a bunch of 4 and 5 year guys that make it hard for the young guys to get in. It's nice to have depth though, but you got to develop that depth. And Jaleel's a top 5 player.
Yeah, right now we don't really have depth because like he's not playing them. So not in anything like I mean again it was garbage minutes mostly for him and so I don't know. It's hard for me to see this team like reaching its ceiling without Jaleel.
I mean we have more depth than last year.
I mean yeah, but
last year we had none. But the argument here is that me and Vish both agree on your top 5 recruits should be getting minutes.
And we just have to, we have to figure out a better way to. Every other school in the country managed to get their blue chip guys into the lineup immediately. Why do ours always take like 3 months to get ready and they go by February? Oh, look, they're starting to click.
Well, how often do we get blue chip recruits though?
I mean, even it doesn't even have to be blue chip recruits. Like, why was Keyshawn not starting until everyone got injured? He was better than Bensley on the first day, and we all saw it immediately. Like, why is this guy not starting? It took months. I don't know. Then he ended up a first-round pick, and like he's starting in the NBA now. He couldn't start here. He couldn't start in front of Bensley Joseph, but he's starting in the NBA.
It's true.
So, and I'm not, again, I don't really see a natural person for Jaleel to displace in the starting lineup, but certainly in the rotation, they got to find. This is Coach L's task, right? He's got to find a way to get him minutes so he grows more comfortable, so they can expand his role. So when we hit these harder games, which unfortunately are starting on Thursday, he is able to contribute heavily because you're going to need that. You're not going to win shit with him sitting on the bench.
Yeah. Can I also point out, Kane's Cat's Heat said he's never seen a team shoot this many threes.
We're down on threes from last year.
Well, this game we shot 27, 51.9% from 3.
What were the field goals? What were the field goals though overall?
We were 14 of 27 from 3.
No, but what were how many field goals did we take?
64.
Yeah. There were games last year where more than half our. I mean, we shot more threes last year than this year.
First of all, we have quite a few players that can make very far 3. Blackman is a scorer from 3. Nigel obviously can shoot outside the gym. Brandon Johnson's a very good 3-point shooter. Cleveland made like first 3 threes. We're gonna shoot threes.
You could see that in warm-ups.
But also, and Coach Al brought this up in the presser as well. They played Coppin State played a little bit of a zone for part of the game, and so we had guys like wide open in the corners for 3, and so you're gonna take those.
Yeah, and we made them. You can actually see Matthew in warm-ups the ball didn't even hit the rim. He was switching everything.
Yeah,
so.
And maybe besides like that 1 3 Jaleel took, where I was like, "Why'd you throw that up?" I think they were all really good threes. I'm trying to think of if there was any other shots where I was like, "Why would you shoot that?" But
I mean, they did, they were collapsing on Lynn Kidd too, which opened up some of that. Shout out to Nate. Yeah, we got Nate, we got Bill, we got Jazz, we got CCH, we got Terrence. Yeah, we got a whole party going on here.
G crew minus Jackson. Jackson was probably at the game today.
We got a little party happening here. Yeah, I think he's gonna have to look. Coach L's a great coach. He'll figure it out. But for me, I'm struggling to see how he fully gets Jaleel to reach his potential, incorporates him into this team, having spent 3 games decidedly not doing that.
Yeah,
that was the one. That was the one.
And honestly, I think that was like a frustration 3 because he wasn't getting his opportunities, and so he got the ball in his hands and he just wanted to do something. I think that's something L will work with him on. I think he just maybe was getting a little frustrated. I got to go back and watch the game because multiple people commented about it on Twitter. So I got to see.
Well, the other thing is, we don't know what's going on, obviously, outside of the game itself. So could be that there's a plan in place here, and everyone's
we don't know
on board.
about it.
Yeah, but again, I would have spent these first few games making sure I got him comfortable in his role.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess so we've spent a lot of time talking about. Yeah, I don't agree with the Lonnie method. Well, I don't agree with the Lonnie method. I don't think that worked for us. We lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament, and we were a lower seed than we would have been.
Bruce Brown.
Right, but we were a lower seed than we would have been if we hadn't dicked around in the first part of the year. Like, these games matter. Like, I get what, Terrence is saying, I'd preserve them and stuff. You got to win these out-of-conference games to get a better seed. Like, we need to take the whole season seriously, bless you. And so, we need to go win this tournament in Charleston.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they hit a shot at the buzzer. Loyola did, but we were in a nip and tuck game with Loyola, who went to the final. Well, who went to the Final Four because we were a 6th seed, even though we finished 2nd in the ACC that year because we dicked around at the beginning of the year. We've done that multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
We did that in the Elite 8 year too.
We limped in.
Yeah. So we need to go. We need to go there with the expectation of going to Charleston and winning this tournament. We'll obviously talk a lot more about. We're doing a show Wednesday, is the day before the tournament starts. We'll talk a lot more about there, and I don't want to step on that because we'll have Matt there too. So we'll do a full ass tournament preview. But these early season games matter for your seeding. So to me, it's not acceptable to hold people back and say, "Oh, let the game come to them."
In 2013, we double dipped the ACC and we got a 2 seed, and a big part of that was a dumbass losses we took at the beginning of the year to Indiana State and Florida Gulf Coast.
That might be partially true, but other teams, again, their top recruits get on the court. So why can't we handle that? I just we're gonna talk about Divine. So he's definitely been better. Okay, so I think I might be a little contrarian here. He's been better than obviously the coaches expected because they were gonna redshirt him and then they didn't. I will say, running numbers. So I'm just gonna bluntly say this. He won the player of the game from the school, and it's a joke. He scored 9 points in the last 4 minutes against Coppin State's third stringers by driving to the basket against line cooks and laying the ball in. So I think I think he's been better than we expected, but he's doing against poor competition a lot of one-on-one play.
Please go watch Coach L's press conference because he literally says the same thing.
About what? What I'm saying?
They asked him about Divine's play, and he said that, he's playing really well. But we'll see, we got to see how everybody does against bigger, stronger athletes and more skilled athletes when we get into conference play. He literally said the same thing.
Yeah, and 7 of his points came in the last 2 minutes when Coppin State was just standing there and he was just driving past them and laying the ball in. So,
obviously he's looked good so far. And
this is the kid that we thought that we late signed, that we thought was going to redshirt, and who's clearly the backup point guard on the team. That's a huge leap, but I wouldn't. When you look at how his points are coming, I'd be surprised if he's able to do that against Drake. Just drive in and lay the ball in.
Yeah, we'll see. He's looked great so far.
He's looked good.
If he can provide a few minutes off the bench in a backup point guard role this season, that's great. That's a lot higher of an expectation than what we thought, considering everyone thought he was redshirting. But again, we're judging this team and what's been going on based off wins against non-power conference.
But again, I think the reason Coach L specifically called that out is because we all saw it in real time, right? Both teams emptied their bench, and this is Coppin State emptying their bench. You can imagine the caliber players they're putting on the court. Divine played, he's from Houston. He played better talent in high school there. And he went and laid the ball in multiple times, and that's where all of his points came from.
He does have very active hands on defense.
No, he's good defensively, and he can play aggressively because we don't really care if he fouls. So no, he's going to be a solid contributor, but I'm not disrespecting him. I am quoting the head coach of the basketball team.
Should have been player of the game.
Of course he should have. He did it when the game was actually what I'm saying is, if you're looking at that and saying, if you're looking at Divine's stat line, like to me the most impressive thing has been his defense, because driving past Coppin State's third stringers is not quite the feat that the stat line says it is, but the way he's played defense certainly is. Terrence is not disrespecting. He's talking about what I said, which is like, by the time you get to Coppin State's third string, yeah, he is. Who do you think is Coppin State's third string, man?
Where is Coppin State?
I think South Carolina. Is that right?
Why is Matt slacking? Matt has a family obligation, and this was a last-second show.
Hold
we decided.
Let's see if I actually got that right. Where is? Oh my God, Coppin State's in Baltimore. That's like near where I live. Anyway. But let's pretend that didn't happen. So I do think. Look, I think Divine is a he's going to be a solid contributor again, and this is one of the challenges, right? And we actually talked about this a little bit. We talked about this a little bit with the women as well, within the freshmen playing, right? Is we got Nigel, we got Jalen. I kind of want them to play 35 minutes a game, and then whatever's left, all right, then. You got Matthew at the 3. Brandon Johnson is at least splitting time between the 4 and the 5. So I think there's a little bit of, we'll see against better competition, but other than getting a little bit of a rest of the starters, how often are we gonna? How many minutes are a lot of these guys we've seen play going to continue to play?
There's a baseball discussion going on in the chat.
No, I'm reading it. I'm reading it.
Oh man.
Season doesn't start for like 3 months, dude. Relax.
What happens when you get Jazz and CCH in the chat together?
Oh no, Jazz is holding it down for Kane's on
Nate's giving us Coppin State trivia. And Bill's trying to actually discuss basketball.
Well, so was I until you interrupted, but no, but I think other than hopefully we figure out a way where Jaleel in, I don't expect large minutes for the freshmen. But I do expect Divine to play a key, backup role where he buys us some minutes. But, you want Nigel, you want Jalen, you hopefully get Jaleel on the court a lot.
I think you said it to me. I think it was at the game. I can't even remember if we were discussing this via text or it was at the game, where Divine can kind of just be that change of pace off the bench guy for a few minutes. That kind of gives you a little bit of energy and a defensive spark. And he does have some. We'll see how his offensive game progresses into better competition. But even for a few minutes, you get that energy off the bench, and maybe he provides for like a steal or a fast break or something.
Yeah,
and he's only a freshman, so. And this is a guy hopefully we hang on to for 4 years.
Man, no one's 4 years anywhere. So,
huh?
Isaiah Wong's probably the last 4-year guy that we're gonna.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think he's someone that can come in as a change-up, but I think we'll see.
Terrence's comment up there.
What about selling milkshakes? That one.
Keep talking, but just leave that up there for a minute. Maybe someone from Mark Lake will read this, and
this is why I produced the show. But anyway, so no, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, we're gonna see what's up on Thursday and how many minutes. I wouldn't be surprised if we see significantly less minutes for Joe Bay and for Divine, depending on how the game. And we've already seen like very few minutes from Jaleel and Austin Schwartz, and
I don't think we see Schwartz at all.
Well, because I think because I think one of the things is, again, if you're in a competitive game, like how comfortable are you with Divine being on the court a lot and Nigel on the bench? Not very much. So this is where all of a sudden it flips. We saw it with the women too, right? And
yeah.
Adams and Leah Harmon playing a ton, and then you're playing at UF, all of a sudden they're not, which is normal. That's what I mean. They're going to play worse teams. You empty the bench more, so. We'll see the rotations on Thursday. be interesting to see. And interesting how we handle the bigs rotation too, because we don't really have a backup center. So Brandon Johnson's been deputizing there. So I'm curious to see if we get more.
Brandon Johnson's shots are starting to fall. He hit 1,000 career points today. Congrats to Brandon Johnson on a three-pointer, which is awesome because my love for the stretch four. Got to get that in there. So congrats to Brandon.
I think one of the things that'll be interesting to see. You keep freezing up on me, and I don't know if it's you or me. But anyway.
Oh, I haven't noticed it.
Your camera keeps freezing. It's probably my end then, which is good because that way it's recording okay. So I think, they are so far. We're going to play better teams starting next week. So we'll see. I mean, Coppin State is not going to threaten us inside. But I'll be interested to see, does Joe Bay actually get those same minutes or – are we just going to, when Brandon Johnson goes to center, are we just going to slide Matthew over to the 4 and bring in probably Staten McCray at this point and play that lineup versus, getting Joe Bay, actually getting him those minutes. We'll find out. But when you end up with playing better teams, do you want Matthew getting those minutes or Joe Bay? Probably Matthew.
Drake is a step up from any competition we've played.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've played absolute. We have not played a team with a pulse, so This is the first time we're doing that. And it's in a tournament setting. Again, we're gonna get some game pressure for the first time. So then, and that includes like how we handle our rotations. So it will be because he's been pretty much all right. We need to take the center, the power forward out. All right, Joe Bay, go in. I don't know that. I think we might see a little bit more of Matthew sliding over the floor to eat some of those minutes and keep more of our top players on the court longer. Maybe a smaller role for Divine, for Jobé. And I do think based on the way the season's playing out so far, I don't know that we'll necessarily say the same thing for Staten McCray. I think he's going to continue to get his minutes, and I just don't know where Jaleel's are coming from, but we'll see. We'll see. Coach L's got to figure that out. He cannot sit him on the bench and play him 5 to 10 minutes a game. That's just not acceptable. He's got to figure out a better plan. He built this roster. He's got to figure out a way to do it.
Agreed. Parrish wants to know, is there any bets on whether either the men or the women's team stays undefeated longest?
You mean like on Hard Rock Sports app, or like what are we talking about? Who's gonna say there any bets? I mean, if there's actual odds.
I think the men have a harder schedule coming up.
I mean, yeah, the team most likely to catch a loss earlier. I mean, the women are playing FIU and Campbell this week, and the men are going to a tournament where they have to play 3 games in 4 days. So the chances of one getting a loss versus the other, it's pretty much. Yeah.
It's probably
pretty heavily weighted. Maybe if you said on Friday,
women's hardest opponent in the coming week and a half, they've already played and won. So.
Yeah, and they do host a Thanksgiving tournament, but they'll be favored and all of that. So, yeah. No, I mean, I think right now, if you'd assume the men would lose first, really the only game that the women have until ACC play on December 15th is Vanderbilt at home. So that you would think, okay, that's potentially one that you could lose. The men, meanwhile, are going to play before the women play that game. The men will have played three tournament games: Arkansas, Tennessee, and Clemson. So, yeah, money is on the men losing first.
Tennessee's after, isn't Tennessee after?
Tennessee's it's after Vanderbilt. Yes, it is. You're correct. It's the next week. So yeah. We'll see. We're gonna find out, Parrish. That's why this weekend will be very illuminating.
It will be because this is the first actual competition the men are gonna play.
Yeah, and again, we'll see what the rotations are actually like. We've seen a lot of. I just don't see the substitution patterns we've been making
aren't actual.
They're not. I mean, who the hell knows at this point? But I wouldn't say never to anything. But yeah, I don't really see us making subbing 3 and 4 guys in off the bench at the same time and all that. There'll probably be more more rotation, less line change. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out starting Thursday. And then, one of the things we haven't really talked about is there still might be, his less than, I don't know what I'm assuming in his head, maybe written down, maybe in discussions, maybe the players are aware. There's an ideal minute distribution that absent foul trouble, absent like, oh crap, things are going wrong, I need to switch it up, that Coach O wants to hit. In an ideal big game, want Nigel to get 34 minutes, whatever it is, something like that. So I do wonder if he even tries to do that this week, because again, 3 games in 4 days is a lot. So we might rotate more heavily even than we would in a normal,
Oh, Bill's bringing up Ken Palm.
Yeah, it's like 3 days into the season, isn't it? Those rankings
There's
are
a lot
not
of other teams. There's other teams in that tournament that we're gonna have to face. So we'll see. Either way,
but also it's again, like, I'm not using Ken Palm's ratings 2 games into the season as if like that they mean anything. I mean, what are we doing here, man?
So you are Matt that hates Ken Palm.
It's mad. I'm indifferent to it, but I mean, I can tell you right now, I do work in business, and I can tell you right now, 3, like a handful of games is not a representative sample for a statistical model to work with. I can tell you that much. I'm a big believer that the sample size is way too small to do anything with. That much I am 100% confident in. So
did you see TCU upset? Did you see TCU upset NC State?
I did not.
Yeah.
Well, that would be an excuse to drop us 3 seed lines in the NCAA tournament if we make it that far. I mean, Drake is undefeated, so.
Who have they played?
I don't know what York Colonial Nebraska. What the hell is this thing? Stephen F. Austin and FGCU.
Hmm.
York College Nebraska Panthers. Beat them 93-41. The FGCU only beat by 2. 63-61.
Oh, Stanford lost today also? Wow. Stanford lost their best player and their coach retired, so that is true. Nate says it's not necessarily. Oh, I mean, well, NC State's ranked and TCU wasn't, but yeah, Van Lith and then the center that TCU has, she's a monster. I was watching some like replay like highlights and stuff. She's good. Stanford lost at Indiana. I mean, that's not a bad loss. Indiana is usually pretty good.
All right, but we've got Drake on the horizon. Let me just real quickly before we end here. So we can get this bracket open for the tournament, so we can take a gander.
Stanford's rebuilding. They lost their second best player to the portal.
All right, so this is the bracket for the tournament we're in. Again, we'll do a full preview on Wednesday.
The teams in it is us, Drake, Oklahoma State, FAU, Seton Hall, VCU, Vanderbilt, and Nevada.
Correct.
Somebody.
But anyway, so if we'll play Oklahoma State or FIU in the second game, and either Seton Hall, VCU, Vanderbilt, or Nevada in the third game. You get 3 games regardless. It's just winners play winners, losers play losers, that kind of thing. So we'll have a lot more on that on Wednesday night's full show. But yeah, 3 games in 4 days regardless.
Mount Rushmore and final thoughts with Matt.
Potentially.
We're doing a breakdown on Wednesday, Parrish. This was just a quick breakdown of a few dubs from the weekend.
Yep, we'll do a breakdown of that. We'll see if there's anything interesting to talk about from the women's game from Tuesday as well.
Oh yeah, we can do a little FIU breakdown as well. Forgot.
Yep.
If any of you are in the Miami area, Tuesday night, 7 p.m., Miami women's team plays FIU. Come support them. Tickets are super cheap. It's a really, really good team. Come hang out. Come hang out with us. We'll be there sitting in the general admission. And yeah, anything else, Fish?
Not for me. No, I think we've pretty much covered it.
Shout out to everyone in the chat: Nate, Terrence, Bill, Parrish, Jazz even showed up, CCH, and we'll see you all Wednesday night. Keep an eye on Buckets_Canes. We'll announce the time then.
Wait, hold on. Before you do that, I'm going to stop you. Look at this. 6-ring Canes tomorrow at 8:30. We're going to preview Wake Forest. Definitely watch that. Like Melissa said, we'll be out at the Hoops on Tuesday. And then there's a Buckets on Wednesday. So busy next couple of days on the network because we will be, when we're out at the Hoops, we're covering the Hoops. So definitely stay locked to our accounts for coverage of that FIU game on Tuesday as well. And then Buckets.
We'll be live tweeting.
Yep. So we got 6-ring tomorrow. Buckets live at the game Tuesday. Buckets show
and also,
Wednesday.
Nat, you saw our tweet. Come on our show. Hit us up. Cue the Sox outro.
Don't cry. Keep it chill. Wear good socks.